In 2019, I began creating an all-elite wrestling board game. While I had fun working on it and it's certainly playable, I wasn't able to complete it. It needs more playtesting, rule refinement, and definitely some simplification. Recently though, I rediscovered it and figured, because I'm not sure if I will complete it, I might as well make a video and show what I've got. So I've got this roughly designed prototype solely for playtesting. It's a customizable game which I'll discuss later, but in its primary form is very much kind of battle royale-ish elimination based. You've got 4 teams represented by the playing card symbols, as in Double or Nothing. 4 wrestlers begin in the ring and take turns to perform moves with the intention of eliminating each other through pins and submissions. Moves involve spending stamina to inflict health damage in return for momentum. Momentum, when built up, allows for signature and finisher moves. There are also bonus cards which provide other modes of action including counters. So as you can probably guess, play continues until one team remains, that player is the winner. On that note, I'll get a game started and we'll explain more of the game further as we go along. Alright, so the game is set up and I am basically narrating over a pre-recorded video, so I apologize if it's a little clunky. As I mentioned, the teams are represented by card symbols, and you'll notice that each player or team basically has its own entrance ramp. Each player's ramp is also based to the right side of the player mat, and the player mat is represented by the appropriate tokens. Okay, so we're going to choose Chris Jericho and the clubs to start the game. What happens first is he needs to decide who he's going to attack, and that is going to be the Young Bucks. The player selects a move, in this case it's a suplex, and then we follow the information below. So first, -3 stamina points. And then the Bucks are going to lose -2 health. And finally, Jericho gains +2 momentum points, and that sums up his move. We do have bonus cards, but we won't use them on this occasion. So it's now the Bucks' turn, Diamonds, and they are going to use a cutter. So again, -2 stamina, and that will follow with -3 health, and they're going to attack Chris Jericho. The health is deducted, the Bucks gain their momentum, and the card is discarded. So next player, Spades, Darby Allin, and he is going to also attack Chris Jericho, and he will do so using a snap suplex. -2 stamina. Jericho loses health, and Darby gains momentum. That's his move. It's discarded, and we're going on to Chris Statlander and the Hearts. So while Chris Statlander performs her move, I just want to point out that she cannot attack Chris Jericho because there's a risk of a player constantly being bullied, so to speak. I figured a player cannot be attacked more than twice in a round, but that does exclude counters. Counters are limitless. By the way, it seems Darby, who is being attacked here, is using a bonus card. It cuts the move damage in half and allows him to regain stamina. So the adjustments are made. Chris Statlander still gains momentum, and that is the end of the turn and also the round. So once everyone has taken a turn, the round is over and we begin a new round. In this case, it begins with Chris Jericho. At the beginning of a new round, all players gain 1 point of stamina and 1 point of health. They will also choose a new move or new bonus card. Should a wrestler get eliminated during a round, it is at the beginning of the next round that they can introduce a new wrestler. So should Chris Jericho get eliminated, he would be replaced by Pac. When a new wrestler enters a round, they gain maximum stamina and maximum health. Momentum points, however, stay the same as they are team-based. Okay, so Jericho is going to use one of his bonus cards this time to attack the Bucks again, Chairshot. This replaces your move. An ally provides you with a steel chair which cannot be countered. You cannot follow this play with a signature finisher or pin attempt. Minus 5 health and 3 momentum, so it does not cost stamina, but you do lose momentum in this case. It's quite a smart card, I suppose, because you don't have to have 3 momentum to be able to use it. So even if you're low on momentum, you can get this big attack on somebody without necessarily damaging yourself in the process. But the move actually isn't over. The Bucks have a bonus card, Fighting Back, which they can use after they have been attacked. It says after being attacked, you may respond with a move as long as you weren't pinned. Play continues as normal. So they've been attacked by Jericho and they are now going to retaliate with a spear. So first and foremost, minus 3 stamina points. Attack damage works a little bit differently here. So that is meant to represent a dice. How much damage you inflict is determined by a dice roll. So we have this one here, which is used for submissions. I'll explain that a little more later. The total you can deal is 5. If you land on rope break, I haven't really decided actually. I would say that you roll again. Or maybe it could be a miss, who knows. So this terribly designed dice still works, and we have rolled a 4. So 4 damage will be dealt to Chris Jericho. The Bucks gain momentum, and you will notice that it landed on an S, which represents signature. However, for this particular game, I won't be using signatures just because I haven't fully planned them out. So we'll just leave it there, and it is now actually officially the turn of the Young Bucks. They are using a moonsault, which has an extra stat on it. In addition to damage inflicted, you also receive a little bit of damage because it is a high risk move. Stamina is deducted, but Chris Jericho is using a bonus. Block your opponent's move, double your stamina and health, and counter with a move of your own. Continue play as normal. Unfortunately, when I played this game, I must have been so distracted because I actually forgot to double Chris Jericho's health. And I know that kind of sucks because it changes how the game plays out. What can I do, right? So he chooses a move, we have to get on with it as it is. And he attacks the Bucks. Back over to Darby and the Spades. And he is going to use the move Snap Power Slam. The target is Chris Statlander, who has a bonus card to use, Mirror Image. You counter your opponent's move with the same move. So, minus 2 points, and play of course continues as normal. It is now officially Chris Statlander's turn, the turn for the Hearts, and she is going to use the headlock takedown. It's a very low scoring move, a bit of a dud. You don't actually gain momentum with this one. But of course you do inflict damage all the same. And that is the end of another round. We are entering another round. Chris Jericho will go first once again. I have updated the cards and the tokens, so we are good to go, and Jericho is going to use a bonus card. It is Feeling Fresh. This card is played before your move. You lose 5 momentum to gain 5 health. Requires at least 1 momentum. So we make the updates. And can you guess who Chris Jericho is going to attack? Yes, he is going to attack the Bucks, and with a flashy Canadian destroyer. So stamina is deducted, damage is inflicted, and momentum is of course gained. Bucks and the Diamonds. Roundhouse kick. And of course, they're going for Le Champion. Darby's turn then, and he is going to go for a Fujiwara armbar, the first submission of the game. So we use the submission dice. You may remember it has a rope break option. If you get that, that means no damage is inflicted. We roll the dice, however, we get a 4, the Bucks hit 0. So what that means is the attacking player can now use the pin dice, which is used for pin attempts and submissions. Because of course the player on the receiving end of the attack reached 0 health. So the dice is rolled, and as you will see, the result was a pin or tap out. So that means the Bucks have been eliminated. The player collects their momentum, and we move on, in this case, to Chris Statlander. So Statlander showing her dark side with a cheap shot on Darby. No stamina is lost, a lot of health is lost, but of course momentum is also lost. And thus concludes another round. Okay, so it is a new round and the Diamonds are going to have a new entrant. Who is it going to be? Can you guess? It's Kenny Omega. So with that, health and stamina max out on the Diamond player mat. And now Chris Jericho will take the first move. So he's only got 2 options. And he is going to choose a German suplex. And he doesn't want anything to do with Kenny Omega. So he spends the stamina. He's going for Chris Statlander. However, Chris Statlander uses a bonus card, which is firing up. Block your opponent's move, regain max stamina, counter with a move. So she only has one move, that is. Diving crossbody. So the points back and forth. She gains momentum, and then it's over to Kenny Omega. And he's going to use a sleeper hold on Chris Jericho. So of course we rolled a damage dice. Get number 2, as you can see. And as you can also see, Kenny Omega has reached finisher status. So he's going to perform his finisher move, which inflicts 6 damage. And you can perform a pin attempt after a finisher, whether or not the opponent has reached 0. So is this the end of Le Champion? It is. It's a pin. He is out of there. We talked earlier on about an error that was made. I made an error. I forgot to improve Chris Jericho's health, but it wouldn't have made a difference because after a finisher you can still perform that pin attempt. So over to Darby, he's using Allies Attack, and I made an error here. You are meant to choose who you are going to use your move against, and then deduct 2 health points from your other opponents. I made the mistake of deducting 2 health points from Chris Statlander and Kenny Omega. Chris Statlander is the target anyway, and Darby is using a clothesline. So over to Chris Statlander. As you can see, there are no move cards left. So this is one of the things with the play testing. I need to find the balance. But there is another move you can do. It's rest. It means skipping a move, and you gain 2 stamina points and 1 health point. What I need to decide is if while performing this move, maybe you should gain a move card as well. But for this moment, I decided not to do that. But I do reconsider it later on in the game. And that's another round. As it is a new round, the clubs will be getting their next entrant. You may remember who it is. It is Pac, the Bastard. So to kick this round off, he is going to use a very fantastic bonus card, Instant Finisher. This card replaces a move, and it doesn't matter what momentum you have, you can perform this. But you do have to reset your momentum if you do have any. And so he is going to target Chris Statlander. He is a bastard after all. And as you will probably recall, a pin attempt can be performed after a finisher. So, will we be losing Chris Statlander? Over to Kenny Omega. He is going to be performing a Lariat Rally, and this works a little bit differently. The stats deduct per person, so it affects everyone in the game. He'll reduce, in this case, 1 point of stamina. If the move is successful on the next player, and it will be Darby, then that player obviously loses health, and then it goes around to, it will be Pac. More stamina will be spent, and then you gain the appropriate amount of momentum. So over to Darby. He is using a flying cross armbar, which is a submission move, of course. And we get the dice, deal 2 damage, and Darby has a finisher. And no doubt he is going to use it. A little bit of a coffin drop. Unfortunately for him, Kenny counters with a move. So, as the finisher was not successful, the attacking player only loses 3 points of momentum. So it's not the worst case scenario. And now Darby, he's using crowd support. After being attacked, you may play this card to gain the same amount of momentum as damage received. And that will wrap up yet another round. So in that last round, I think I forgot to give Kenny some momentum. All the same, the Hearts have a new competitor, and they are bringing in Jon Moxley. Pac's first move this round is going to be a brainbuster. He is targeting Kenny Omega. And now for Kenny's move, he's got just the one card, a power driver, and he's going to attack Darby. So with that attack, Darby has reached 0 health, which means, of course, we can use the pin dice. And Darby has been eliminated. Over to Moxley. He is going to attack Pac with a belly-to-belly suplex. And with this, yet another round will be wrapped up. So in this round, Cody comes in for the spades. And now Pac is taking his first move, knee strikes. He's going for Kenny Omega again. But Kenny Omega has this, Possum. Counter a move, signature or finisher with a pin attempt. But Pac kicks out. Is that our first kick out during this game? I think it is. And with that, he gains 2 momentum. Every time you kick out, you gain 2 momentum points. So Omega has no cards. He is performing rest. But unlike with Chris Statlander, I decided to give him a move card. It just seems like the best option. And of course he gains 2 stamina points and a health point. So the move card he's got is a super kick. Cody then is going to use a Tope Suicida on Pac. It does inflict a little bit of damage to himself. But yeah, it gains him some good momentum, and as you can see, enough to perform his finisher on Pac, which he does, and that of course follows with a pin attempt. Pac is out. Okay, so Moxley. backbreaker, and he's aiming for Cody. He too has a finisher. No doubt uses it. Cody kicks out, and the round is over. The last member of the clubs will be joining us, and it is Hikaru Shida. Everything has of course been updated for the round. She is going to perform a Hurricanrana on Kenny Omega. And of course signatures are not used in this current game. Now Kenny, he is going to use Painless. Played alongside your move, you regain 4 health. And he uses a super kick, and he is going to attack Jon Moxley. But Jon Moxley has a card, block it, and it is quite simply that he blocks the move. So this was one of those moments when I wasn't concentrating again. Cody using a bonus called Last Gasp, replacing your move with at least 3 or less health and 1 stamina. You could perform a finisher on 2 opponents. You need to spend your remaining stamina to do so, which I don't do. So I follow the instructions for momentum. You do deplete momentum, but I completely forgot to reset his stamina. So Kenny is the second opponent hit with a finisher, which means the pin attempt is made on him, and Kenny is eliminated. Finally, Moxley is using Rain Check. He rests, gains 4 stamina and 2 health. That's the round. Okay, the final wrestler for the Diamonds, that will be Riho and Hikaru Shida, starting things off with an ankle lock on Riho. Rolls the submission dice, and it's 2 damage. But with that momentum gained, of course, Hikaru gains a finisher, uses it, and this could be a major upset for Riho. Riho just came into the match and is already gone. That's got to be major heat for Hikaru. Over to Cody. Fallaway slam on Moxley. And Moxley is going to use a super kick party, -4 stamina, and then I believe it says -3 health to each competitor he manages to hit. In this new round, Hikaru Shida is using Momentum Thief. Before performing your move, you may steal 4 momentum points from your opponent. So, along with eliminating Riho, she's showing her dark side here. So she takes the momentum, and now she can perform a move. It's a big boot, and she is going to hit Moxley square in the face. Gains momentum once again, and it's over to Cody now. Cody going for a cutter on Moxley. Moxley going for the one move that he has, which is a suplex. Now you see Cody has hit 0, so you know what happens next. Fortunately for Cody, he was not defeated by a suplex. I would like to point out that Cody did have a bonus card, which allows for pin reversals, but it's irrelevant and the round is over. In this new round, Hikaru Shida is going for a Canadian Destroyer on Moxley. And then she is going to attempt the pin. And Moxley kicks out. So Cody is going to use a Snapman Neckbreaker, and I've been trying to decide whether or not it's right to attack a player who has just been pinned, bearing in mind that their health is already very low. So for now, Cody is attacking Hikaru Shida. Okay, so Jon Moxley, he's going to attack Cody with a Fujiwara armbar. As you can see, he now has 0 stamina. Roll the submission dice, and it's a rope break, so no damage is inflicted. And with that, does Moxley still gain momentum points? I couldn't decide for sure whether he should or shouldn't. I mean, I went down the middle, gave him 1 point as opposed to the maximum of 2. So that's one of those little things that I will need to work out. You know, Shida has been hanging out with Pac and Jericho when she has a cheap shot to use against Cody. She loses no stamina. Cody takes a big hit. Shida does lose momentum, but she will go for the pin attempt on Cody. Or not. Pin reversal. Pre-dice roll as your opponent places you into a pin. You may play this card to reverse it. So Cody counters, and Hikaru Shida is out. Gone but not forgotten, the game goes on. It's a German suplex from Cody to Moxley. Cody will also gain some momentum that he should have received in a round or 2 ago. He is also going to go for the pin, but Moxley kicks out. And now Moxley is going to use the diving crossbody attack. However, he doesn't have the stamina, so maybe not. In that case, all he can do is rest. So he'll perform the rest, gain stamina, gain health, and also an additional move card. Okay, so Cody is using the roundhouse kick move on Moxley, obviously. Or not, because Moxley has Possum. Counter a move, signature, or finisher with a pin attempt. So the pin is attempted, but Cody kicks out. For Moxley's turn, he is going to use a sleeper hold. We roll the submission dice for a 5. Moxley gains momentum, and with that, of course, another attempt, a submission attempt in this case. Cody escapes. Okay, so Cody is going to rest, and there is a reason for that, which you will see in a moment. He gains stamina and health. I did forget to give him the move card, however. Moxley goes for a diving crossbody. Cody uses comeback. Block your opponent's move, double your stamina and health, counter with a move. So with that, his stamina is maxed back out, and he uses a clothesline. Moxley, however, has a bonus card of his own. He blocks the attack. So Cody is going to use a flying cross armbar. It deals 3 damage. I haven't decided whether or not a player can perform a finisher after a submission, but we are going to do that. So Cody is going for the crossroads, but Moxley counters with a pin attempt. The dice has been rolled and Cody is out. Cody out, we have the last competitor from the Spades. It is MJF. He's better than you, and you know it. So he is going to use the only move that he has, a brainbuster. Not a shabby one at all. So Moxley hits 0 health. Not looking too good for him. MJF has maximum momentum, but he needn't use it. He's going for the pin. Moxley kicks out. And now Moxley is going to use Painless. Played alongside your move, you may regain 4 health. And he uses a Jawbreaker. Minimal damage, but of course, Moxley, who cannot add any more to his momentum, can use his finisher. And he does exactly that, hitting MJF with a paradigm shift. And then with that, goes for the pin. And ladies and gentlemen, it is over. MJF is out, and the Hearts are victorious. And that, my friends, is the end of the game. You may notice, of course, that the Hearts did have an additional competitor should they have needed it. Orange Cassidy, sleeping in the back the entire time. So I hope you enjoyed the game. I'd say it ran quite smoothly, although I did adjust some rules on the go, such as giving players a move card when they chose to rest. In previous playtests, I did come into a little bit of clash of rules. These weren't game breakers, but would need to be ironed out. I think it's there where the game would benefit from some simplification, which is something I factored in here by deciding not to use signatures. This is also the case with having both men and women in the game. They're both awesome at what they do, and I don't want to overcomplicate things just because they don't compete together in reality. Balance is another thing. The flow and length of a game can be based on sheer luck depending on how the dice rolls. I've experimented with different dice, but feel what we had here works best. While everybody was initially getting pinned, you noticed that the kickouts and escapes increased in frequency as the game neared the end, which I think was a lucky coincidence in this case, as it kind of made the ending more interesting. But in a past playtest, Kenny Omega spent a large portion of the game at low health. Despite this, he continuously countered finishes, kicked out of pins, kept gaining the momentum to use his finishes, and he was successfully pinning everybody. The dice roll can really change a game. As for the design, this is obviously a rough one as previously mentioned. On that note, take no notice of the names of moves on cards. I couldn't quite recall some of the signature move names, so I put down whatever just to get it done. So, for example, I called Statlander's signature Boop, which is obviously not the case, and I don't think Orange Cassidy's finisher is called the Sloth Splash either. A final version of the game would include more moves, bonus cards, and wrestlers. I mean, ideally you want the entire roster, but it's worth factoring in that although I only used 12 cards in the game, it still took a fair amount of time to get through it. Now, about gameplay, I am well aware that it's not ideal to have a game where a player gets eliminated and then has to sit out for the rest of the game, so this is probably one of the most important things I would have to think about should I decide to complete the game. But the rules and the gameplay can be customized at least. So for example, you could have a non-team based game. Whenever a player's wrestler is eliminated, they would simply take the next wrestler from the cards, and there would basically be one deck of wrestlers for all players, so play would continue until all cards have been exhausted. Everybody would pretty much be in the game until the end, and then a winner would be determined based on a point system. So maybe players could gain points based on eliminations. As a final note, I did contact AEW in the past about licensing rights and permission to actually create something like this, but unfortunately nothing ever came of it. But you never know, maybe in the future. Whatever happens, if I do pursue the game, if I do make changes, complete it, I will make an update and post it here. With that being said, I hope you got some enjoyment out of this video. Thank you for watching.